Well, first of all, let me just say hello and welcome to everybody watching. This is Under the Sheets with Dean David, and today's my first guest, Neko White.
Hello there.
That's right. This is the show where we
I'm
discuss
sorry.
comedians.
Hello there.
This is the show where we try to get to know people's childhood and learn about them in that way. Now,
In what way?
well, in I think that people kind of try to forget about their childhood, or for one reason or another, I believe that's true. I think either because they didn't like it or because they don't like that they're growing up. But
Okay.
I found that it's the opposite. I do think holding on to it is the way to keep it alive in your heart. It always bothers me when I see people who like. Well, we could talk about that in 1 second, but let me just your bio.
Are you gonna read my bio now?
Gonna
Okay,
read your
I'll
bio.
shut my ears.
Okay. Funny, smart, fresh, and magnetic, Neko White is a rising star. He began doing stand up in 2007 at just 14 years old. As a stand up, Neko has been featured on True TV, Laugh Tracks, Kevin Hart's LOL Network, AXS TV, Gotham Comedy Live, Fox's Laughs. He has also appeared as the host of Vice's news popular series, How to Be a Person, on Complex, new sketches series, Group Therapy. Neko also appeared in MTV2 Hip Hop Hollywood Square in 2015. Neko releases his first 1 hour comedy special, Introducing Me. In 2016, he won the prestigious Caroline's March Madness competition and was named a new face at the Montreal Just for Laughs Festival. Neko works all the top clubs in New York City. He appears as the official host in the popular bi-weekly Roast Battle show at New York Comedy Club, top headlining across the country on his tour, Introducing Me. Armed with well-developed worldwide unique background and an endearing charm, Neko's material sheds light through social commentary and personal analysis. He holds a mirror up to himself and everything around him and will hilariously dissect what he sees in that reflection. Neko is incredibly adept at presenting his observations, whether socially or personal, to any audience. Even those tend to be a little sensitive, watch him navigate that environment, stifling the audiences with a controversial statement before slaying everyone with a well-crafted joke again and again. In refreshing, incredible, and if you've ever seen Stephen Curry on a good night hitting ridiculous miracle shots, each one further away from the last than you had an accurate of White's performance. He is a needed breath of fresh air. Wow. So with that last line, that
hmm
had nothing to do. You just wanted to add that in.
I didn't add it in. I didn't write it.
Oh, who wrote this?
Yeah, somebody else wrote that, man, and that's a quote that somebody put in who had seen me at a college show.
Really?
And yeah, and the person that wrote my bio thought that'd be a good thing to add.
Well, look, it's great to have you on the show, Neko.
It's great to be on, man. I'm sorry I covered my ears, but yeah, it makes me uncomfortable.
That's interesting. But before we even ask you about that, let me ask you this: Is
Hmm.
it white or white?
It's White.
White, Neko White.
Neko White.
Okay, so you prefer to be called Neko White when you get brought up on stage?
I would prefer that, yeah.
Okay, so why
I've
that?
never been brought up as whatever you just said. It's always been Neko White. No one's more people have had a problem with Neko than they have
Yeah.
with White. Like you were definitely the first person to ever
To
make.
fuck up white?
Yeah, the first.
White, Neko White.
I don't know what language was that he used. White and
That's
sound like you were about to
pandering.
hiccup.
It's pandering.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, it's Neko White.
Well, so let me ask you this, man. So you started comedy in 2007,
Mhm.
right? And I want to talk just a little bit about that. I know you've had a lot of questions about that. You're probably sick of it at this point. But 2007, I was in 7th grade. You were in ninth,
Yep.
right? You were just entering high school.
Mhm.
And I feel like, I mean, even in ninth grade, that's like a really early age to start. Like
Mhm.
really early. 14 years old.
Yep.
Because you're 24 right now, right?
No, I'm 26 now.
You're 26. So yeah, you're 2 years older than me, right? So like, what made you want to start comedy just at that young of an age?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'd always watched comedy and all that stuff. Like stand up was always in the house. My dad used to watch it all the time. I watched all the sitcoms, and come to find out, all the sitcoms had comedians as a star. I didn't really know that, but I'd always been a fan. Now we were in school, and my teacher just asked, "Does anybody have a talent they want to showcase in front of the class?" So I'm listening to this girl sing a song, and I'm sitting next to my boy Rodney, and I'm thinking to myself like, maybe I should go try telling jokes. Just a thought. And I raised my hand, Miss Richardson let me up, and I tried it. I did 5, 7 minutes, and it worked. And then whatever that feeling was, I fell in love immediately and kept doing it. So it went from being that first time to, okay, she'll let me do it again tomorrow, and she'll let me do it again the day after that. And my classmates saw it as a way of like, Well, shit, if all we gotta do is listen to him tell some jokes, then let him do it every day. So
but what is it? So like, let me ask you this. So you're doing comedy now, 12 years,
12, yep.
and you started when you were 14. So you've only been a regular person just a little bit longer than you've been a comedian at this point.
I'll be in 2 more years. I'll be doing comedy an equal amount of time in years than years I haven't been doing it, and then
Exactly.
in 3 years I have spent more time being a comedian than not being a comedian.
When you were a kid, did you watch a lot of cartoons? Were you like a big
Whole lot.
A whole lot? Yeah, because you and I are around a similar generation of cartoons, and I think that well, what are some of the cartoons that you liked specifically? Do you have any ones that come to mind?
It's so many. I loved all the cartoons. Dexter's Laboratory, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel. Oh my God, Sheep in the Big City. Scooby Doo, the Flintstones, all the Hanna-Barbera stuff, Tom and Jerry. Then you flip over to Nickelodeon and you got everything from Doug, Rocket Power, Invader Zim. Oh man, what
I
is
think
the
Doug
name
was
of
the
that
worst
show?
of all those shows.
I'm not asking you that though. You know what I'm saying? It's about my childhood.
I'm
Damn
just
it.
saying. I mean, do you agree?
I mean, don't get your fort set on fire, bro.
You don't like you like Doug?
I
You
like Doug.
like that much?
I
Huh?
didn't really like Ren and
You'll burn a
Stimpy.
fort in,
I didn't
in
really
its
like.
honor.
Yeah, I didn't really like Ren and Stimpy like that.
Yeah, I'm
People
not-
loved Ren and Stimpy. I really didn't fall into it.
People love Ren and Stimpy because they think that they should. I think.
Gotcha. What was the dude with the crazy hair? You remember who I'm talking about? Blue guy, red.
He was blue.
He was blue. He was blue. Had black hair, like he was like had a lightning bolt or some shit in it.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? Darn it. The Beavers. All of it.
Yeah.
I liked most of the shows.
What's the one that like? Did you have a specific one that you identified with the most as a kid? You know.
Identified with? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Is that weird?
No. I don't know that I identify with any shows on Nickelodeon too much. Like Rocket Power, maybe. You know, but
Yeah?
a little bit. Just
Why?
like the whole like the hierarchy of everything. Like you got the one dude in the group that's definitely the leader in Auto Rocket.
Auto Rocket.
Then you got like the person that makes sense of everything in Reggie. You got Sam, who's just like
The dork.
the cool nerd or whatever. You got Twister, that's the, like just a ridiculous third guy.
Do you think that you're the? I think I'm the Twister of my group.
I think I'm more of a Sam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You're like the nerdy cool guy.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay. Let me ask you. So, but I guess the reason I'm asking about the
Take
cartoons.
your time, get your words.
No, I'm cool. I was just, my childhood to me, I've told you about my childhood. My childhood is such a special thing to me. Like, obviously, that's why I'm making a whole show dedicated to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is something I could do because I see people talk about their childhoods and their lives, and I feel like it's something that people all can connect on, but we all choose to ignore it. You know what I mean? A lot of people, I feel like.
I don't know, man. I hear you say that, but literally all the times when I see people that I know that's all we talk about. It's how it
Really?
used to be. That's all we ever talk about.
So I guess more people miss it than they maybe want.
More people miss those simple times.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like everything got easier as you got older. People started dying. Shit started getting expensive. You had to understand the value of $1. You had to understand not having $1 might mean you have no value. So there's a lot of things we're growing up that aren't really welcome. So to find that like evenness, you look back at your fond memories of your childhood and you try to forget the parts of it that weren't that fond.
I guess the reason it's so like I feel like this generation specifically because we had I remember like growing up, all the cartoons I watched had like this similar theme of like being a kid is great and being an adult is bad. Like Kids Next Door, you've seen Kids Next Door, right?
I seen Kids Next Door, but Kids Next Door did something to you that it didn't do for me because like I never understood the whole thing of making people afraid to grow up. I thought that was one of the worst things about that show.
Yeah.
Is that and I don't mean any disrespect when
No,
I say
no,
this,
no.
but like I see like how you are now so connected to your childhood because you feel like
It's true.
if you get pulled away from it, you're gonna lose something. It's like, no, dog, you're gonna stunt your growth like that.
It's true.
I'm
I'm in a fort.
Well, right. But no, this isn't the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's the whole like, oh, I can't let go of this because I feel like that type of stuff builds behavior in people that might not be welcome. You
That's
know what
true.
I'm saying? It encourages bad behavior to a certain point. So Kids Next Door never really did it for me. Like I love cartoons like Ed, and Eddie, where it's like, oh, I can't wait to be in power. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to get older. It's not because you forgot everything that happened to you as a kid. It's because of everything that happened to you as a kid.
You know, though, there is an episode of Ed, and Eddie where Eddie is dreaming he's a grown up, everyone's a grown up, and like it's supposed to be like a nightmare. And then he's like, he wakes up and he's like, oh, thank God I'm not old. And then the big reveal is every episode of Ed, and Eddie has been part
A
of old
flashback.
Eddie's
Yeah,
dream.
yeah.
That was supposed to be the season finale, but then they made one more season after that to, I guess,
But
not
again,
make that the
think
dark
about
ending.
that's not dark. Think about how dope that is.
Yeah.
He woke up in a dream that he was dreaming and was like, oh, thank God I'm not here. That means he was living in that past, which means you never get disconnected from the childhood that you love so much.
Do you feel connected to yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are
No,
you crazy?
Yeah, that's a good thing. I feel like I'm connected
very
to mine.
connected. I feel like there's parts of me that just haven't grown up. That's part of the reason why in some facets of my life, I'm childishly selfish about the things I'm childishly selfish about.
What are some of the things about you
My
that
space.
haven't changed?
My
Space?
My space. I like my space. I like solitude. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm not going to do something, it's kind of hard to like flip me on that. But I've always been that way. I don't necessarily I enjoy the company of people whose company I enjoy, if that makes sense. Like I like being around people who I like being around.
Yeah.
And if I get weird vibes from people and stuff like that, I usually try to avoid that as much as I can. So if you see me with a big group of people, I usually like or am at least fond of the people I'm around. And if even one person comes around that I'm not particularly fond of, I'll try to evacuate that situation because it'll make me uncomfortable. And I'm one of those people that energy is transferred. You know what I'm saying?
And I've seen you do that because most people, when they get uncomfortable, it's like you can see that they're uncomfortable, but you stay in control of a situation because you're uncomfortable. And most people can't do that when they're uncomfortable. Like they can't look like they're in control of their own uncomfortability.
Well, I grew up in a place where that uncomfortability, depending on who you were around, could get you beat up or worse.
Right.
You know, so if
So you
somebody,
think it's like a fear thing?
I don't know, no. I don't think it's a fear thing as much as it is an adaptation of survival. You know, so when you come up, it's like people that are good at roasting, right? That comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The being quick on your feet, that comes from somewhere. So like me, I had to give, but I also had to take.
Right.
I didn't learn how to talk shit because nobody was talking shit to me. I had a lot of people say crazy shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then I would have to shoot back.
Yeah. And now you're good at shooting.
I think so.
I mean, do you remember one time I was at the comic strip live doing late night, and you were there, and Andre Thompson was there. Shout out to Andre Thompson. And I said, do you remember this? I was like kind of like bummed out. I was like, I gotta get a 20-minute set. I gotta get 20 minutes. And then you guys like roasted me like over and over and over. And then I was like, how long can this last? And then you were like, about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That was 20 minutes of roasting me, and I was like, I have nothing. Because I don't think I grew up with it. I don't think I had a childhood or any type of. If anything, I was like the man growing up. I was like the dude.
Yeah.
In my part, like, let me ask you this, because so you are Sam, right? In your rocket power thing. When you were going to, like, did you go to a park when you were a kid? Like,
Yeah.
Was it like, because for me, I would go to the park every day after school. It was like my whole thing. You did that? So, what do you have, like, your group of, friends? Were they from school or were they from the park?
Well, you have both. So you got to understand one thing about me. I claim Harlem so much that people just assume that I was raised in Harlem my entire life. That's not what happened. So my grandma lived in Harlem. My mom and my dad, like, we lived in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So home for me was in the Bronx, up on Walton Avenue. And then every day, because my dad worked in the daytime, my mom worked at night. So he would go to work in the daytime. It's me and mom all day. When it's time for her to go to work, she would take me down to Manhattan and drop me off at grandma's house. I'd be with grandma, and then my pops would come pick me up and then take me to the Bronx. So I was raised in both places. I always went to school in the Bronx. So I had a lot of friends that were in the Bronx that were like, hey, come over, blah, blah, blah. But my mom was with that. She's like, no, y'all can like come over here, but he ain't going over there. She don't know them people. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen.
But so, like, after school, you go to the park, right?
After school, I would go to the park, but I actually didn't like to go to the park like that.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a huge thing with me and you.
My mom was way more she wanted to be a lot more, wanted me to be a lot more social than I was.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
were
yeah.
you didn't like talking to people?
It's not even that I didn't like talking to people. I was very shy. You know what I'm saying? And I still am. But it's one of those things where I didn't dislike talking to people, but everything that was going on in my head was a lot more fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what was going on in your head?
If I could make up an imaginary friend and have a whole conversation. Not necessarily a conversation, but like come up with a game that was much more fun than tag.
Really? And
Yeah.
you did that on a regular basis?
I mean, I guess.
Do you remember the names of any of these friends?
No, boy, you asking me to go back like 23 years or 26. I can't remember the names.
I had one imaginary friend,
Yeah?
Daniel. Well, he was like
Gotcha.
more like he was like an idea of something I can talk to, and I had nobody to talk to.
Gotcha. Maybe I was just schizophrenic. Yeah.
Do you remember? Did they look like things?
No.
Okay, cool. So then you're good.
Oh, okay.
It's just your imagination.
Gotcha.
But so you didn't. That's a huge thing with me, man. After school, I would go to the park, and I think I wasn't like the leader of my crew, at least not my main crew. But I was like the twister. But I was like crazy. Like I was like the nuts, ridiculous one. And in some cases, even younger, before I had this group, and I just hung out at the park a lot. Like we were like our own community. Like we created drama, we created issues, and then we would solve them like like how kids do. And in that one, I think I was more like the dominant one.
Oh, Rugrats is one I forgot to bring up.
Regrets is also
That made
great.
me think of everything you just mentioned made me think of that. I know for me, I've never been a follower, if that makes sense. I've never been. I was always a leader in any group that I was in, right? But most of the people that I hung around were also leaders in their own right, right?
Right.
So it was a how do I put this in a way that makes sense? It was a group of people that were very much strong-willed people. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of chiefs in the group, right? And I think the expression is too many chiefs and not enough Indians or something like that. And I've always been able to find a way to make that work, you know. And then when I was about maybe 10, 11, and I started going outside every day, you know what I mean, and meeting everybody that lived around where I lived. Because in the projects, my projects is 19 floors in every building, and it's like 20 buildings. It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you end up knowing a lot of people. So the groups are big. I have group pictures with everybody from back in the day, and it's like 40 of us deep, you know. And it's actually kind of sad because I look at it, and I go, man, this person isn't here anymore. That person isn't here anymore for whatever reason. And it's those moments that like you miss. We all used to meet up at there's a yellow pole. It used to be a yellow pole right at the back of my building at the end of the parking lot. And I walked past the other day and it wasn't there. And I took a moment, was really like lamented over it. Like, that's really sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad because that was like a talisman for a nice time in my life. You know what I'm saying? So to not see it there makes me kind of go, that sucks.
Have you ever I've had this happen to me. Have you run into anybody from those days, like somebody you used to see at the park? They were never like a close friend, but they were like a good buddy. And now when you see them, they just like, were you like sad when you saw them? Like, are they just different now? Not a bad person, just like
no, not
way
bad
different,
people.
you know
Not
what
bad
I mean?
people. I can't say I haven't seen anybody who I liked and got sad.
Yeah.
You know, if
Is it weird that I have?
I mean, no, it's just what it is.
I see them and I'm like, man, this guy is just not the same guy anymore. I don't know him. My friend is gone, is what I'm thinking. Like, my friend is not
your
there.
friend isn't gone. Sometimes you find out y'all weren't really friends.
And that's even sadder.
Proximity.
Well, you're not like friends with these people, some of them, but like you had a connection with them. Like, they were a part of your life.
Proximity.
Yeah.
They were close in proximity. They weren't necessarily close personally.
That is true.
You know, there's some people. Look, everybody isn't going to be your best friend. Everybody isn't going to be in your starting five.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got people that I'll see every day. And, like, usually the conversation go, yo, what's up, blah, blah, blah. I say, what's up? And we have, like, a quick conversation. And it's a good quick conversation. We catch up like that, right? But they don't need my number. I don't need theirs. It's like, I'm happy to see you. Everything good? Good. You good? I'm good. All right, man. Fucking, stay safe out here.
Right.
You know. So you appreciate those moments. Like, I appreciate seeing people who I was like tertiarily friends with, and they'll go, "Hey, man, I'm proud of you," and I'll go, "Also proud of you. I see your kids raising. You know what I mean? They coming up right. Good on you." And that's all we need. That's all we need because we weren't necessarily close. Like, you didn't know my mom's name. You know what I mean? You couldn't come over to my house. I never went to your house. But we hung out in the same circle, so I would never want to see anything bad happen to you. But I'm also not calling you every day.
Right.
You know? So you didn't necessarily, I don't believe that I've lost any of my friends
Right.
that I've been friends with for years. And hell, I have friends that so much, like, our lives has gone totally different ways.
Are there people in your from your childhood who were friends who you actually don't see or like that you have no contact with at all? Like this is like our generation had a little bit of time before phones and stuff. Like there are people who I've met from my
There's
who I
people who I've
don't have.
lost.
Yeah, just there's just somewhere in the world and I have no idea.
There's people who I've lost for whatever reason. And how do I put this? The people whose company I miss the most are still within reach.
They are.
Know? So if ever I wanted to go and be like, yo, we need to have like a reunion, everybody from my building from like the 3rd floor through the 5th floor, no, through the 6th floor. And if you see this, you know who I'm talking about. If I say we got to set up a reunion, I can make those calls and set up that reunion. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a good thing.
No, it is.
Yeah.
And I appreciate those things. I really, really do. I really appreciate those things. It's like my god brother had a surprise birthday party, right? And nobody fucking told me. So he called me, go, yeah, nigga, where the fuck were you? And I'm like, fuck you mean, where was I? I was around. He was like, yeah, but you wasn't at the party. I'm like, well, homie never told me about the party. Another one of my close friends. And when I called him on it, he was like, I figured you were working. You're always working. And it's one of those things where you kind of get a little sad, but it's also like, I mean, he's not wrong. You know what I'm saying? I still would have liked to have known that this was going down, but he's also not wrong. So in him being considerate, he was also dead ass wrong. So both things could be true.
I have a question. So I know Kids Next Door.
Take your time.
No,
really
I
get
know
your
the
words.
question. It's not that I don't know the question. It's just that Kids Next Door is a show you didn't particularly like for this reason. But their thing was when you turn 13, you get decommissioned and you just forget what being a kid is like. I know you didn't forget what being a kid is like, but what is the birthday that you had that you felt like I'm becoming not a kid anymore?
I think the better question would be when did I last feel like a kid? You got to understand, one thing about my childhood is that it's not the conventional childhood. I knew some things about being an adult and being a man and all that shit that you usually don't learn until you're older, right? That whole, like, I get this all the time, that old soul thing. And people don't understand, like, that whatever you think that level of supposed maturity is, that shit don't come from positive situations. You know what I mean? That comes from
true.
That comes from some negative shit. So when my parents split, I remember my dad was like, you know, you're the man of the house now, take care of your mama, right? So that made me hyper aware of those two things, of what being a man is and taking care of somebody who I love, right? So I was hyper aware of that type of thing very early on. So there was a lot of mistakes. So like that whole phase where you have like, I'm invincible, you know what I mean, as a kid, and you just go take those chances. I didn't take a lot of those chances because it's like, I might not come back if I take that chance. So there's probably a lot of fun that I got to miss out on, as well as probably a good amount of danger that I got to avoid. But I'll never know because those chances weren't taken, because if I'm gone, who's going to take care of my mom? You know what I'm saying? Just that type of thing.
It's a lot of responsibility for a kid.
It is what it is. So when you think about stuff like that, and it's like, when I started doing comedy, maybe 2 years after that, I'm paying bills. You get me? Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that I knew a little sooner than others. And as far as being a kid, I never held that in such like high regard. I was just having fun. Because another thing, the area that I grew up in, niggas started dying when I was 16 that I was growing up with. Starting getting killed off, beaten to death, all that type of shit. So the whole being a kid, it's like, are we really? Are we really? Because we dead like old men out here, some of them.
Right. I mean, that's, I don't think I had anything like that growing up. My childhood's more of the young, the type of shit you'd see in like a movie. But your thing was like,
but no, likewise,
something else, you know,
but likewise,
different kinds of movies,
different kinds of movies. But you don't know that a situation is a negative situation, and I didn't have a negative situation. But you don't know an area is bad, good, anything like that until somebody tells you. It's just what it is.
I know. I didn't know Queens was trash until you were telling me.
Oh no, your borough is absolutely garbage. Not the people, just the layout of the borough and the lack of scenery and the culture and the smell down here. It's trash.
Raining today.
I've been down here multiple times.
It has always smelled bad.
I'm a lifelong New Yorker, dog, and I have the least fun here in Queens. Not with the people, with the area.
He's calling us out, guys.
No, your area, the blockage, the way it is, everything being the boulevard. I hate that shit. But the people here, solid gold. Never want to see anything happen to y'all. Anywho.
So I ask every guest, or well, you're the first guest, but I will be asking every guest, and I asked you to bring something from your
Dean
childhood.
asked us to bring an heirloom from our childhood because he can't get the words out properly. So, the heirloom that I bought, this here is a piece of a cane that my grandma gave me when I was like 3 years old. Now, the cane used to be full size, you understand? It used to be about maybe, double this? So, I've had this thing since I was 3 years old, so it's older than me. And it was just one of those things. My grandma got tired of me like taking the cane because I used to watch like the Transformers and all that shit. So I would just use it as a sword. So at one point she got another cane and just gave me this one. And I've had it ever since. And it's unconscious. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think about it. Like it's always beside me.
Yeah.
Always. In my house, always.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like right by your bed?
Yeah. If not in it, depending on how I'm sleeping. You know what I mean?
You sleep with this cane?
Every now and again, bro. Every now and again. It's one of those things where it's like, just clockwork. It's my go-to. Like some people keep a knife under the bed for some shit. If shit go down, keep this. So,
how many toys from your childhood do you still have?
None.
You threw them all away?
Yeah.
What age were you when you threw them away?
I don't remember.
You don't even remember? What was your connection to your toys? Were they part of your like friend group?
No. My friends were all human. They had names.
Not me, man. I played with a lot of toys.
No, I think you still have yours, right?
I have all of my toys.
I really want to go, like, I want to send somebody to his house, like, now while he's here to throw those shits out.
I can't throw them away, man.
But see, that's why I don't like Kids Next Door.
I know, it definitely fucked me up.
Because it does shit like that where it told you that at 13 you lose all your kids. That's not how it works.
I had a friend who, we started our own group.
I thought we were talking about me.
No, I know. I just want to tell you this.
I done learned Dean whole backstory. Y'all don't know shit about me yet.
My friend and I started a group called the Sugar Brothers. It was like our clan.
Oh.
Sugar Brothers.
Oh, you niggas was sweet, wasn't you?
Wait, who was sweet?
The
Who was
Sugar
sweet?
Brothers. Pause.
I still actually.
What?
If maybe Louis, if you get my book back.
Oh no, I'm good.
I want to show you the book. I have a book.
Oh yeah, that's fine, dog.
That's
fine.
I'm
sure the Sugar Brothers were great out here.
It was heavily inspired by the Kids Next Door.
And how many of y'all are still friends to this day?
That's the thing. So
that was absolutely necessary. Mazel tov.
So this is the book of the Sugar Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And these are like all the drawings and.
Oh, that's great.
I made. It's actually on top of a Pirates of the Caribbean like Burger King toy thing.
That's wonderful, man.
And it was me, Sean, and my friend Alex. Alex is like one of the friends I was mentioning earlier who's like out of this touch. I have no idea where he is or who he is. So like that.
Let me see.
Don't be
So now if I rip this up, how sad would you be?
devastated.
So now, but let me ask you, would that delete your memories of the Sugar Brothers pause?
No, but it keeps me connected to them.
How?
Because it's like, I was holding it when it was happening, and now it's still holdable. You know what I mean?
It's still holdable, but what happens when you lose it?
I won't.
No, you will.
I won't.
Because you'll lose a book bag, you'll move one day.
Hell no.
And it's one of those things, bro, where, I don't know. I agree with you. I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. I think the sentiment is positive. But I also think there's something to be said about just having the memories. It's one of those reasons why I take more pictures now than I ever did.
Would you like to become an honorary Sugar Brother?
I would like to become an honorary member of something, but not in a group that's already made.
But it's only 3 people.
That's what I'm saying. So this group has its 3 people.
I'm trying to make it stronger.
No. I don't want to join that group because there's so much history there, and I don't want to be the Alex of it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And end up being deleted. You know what I mean? So
He deleted himself.
that's fine. And in honor of that, if you make a new group or whatever, feel free to induct me into said group.
Maybe I'm gonna start a clan called Under the Sheets.
I can't really do anything with the clan and nothing with clans that involve sheets. You know,
That's true.
just for reasons that might not be so obvious.
Right, they're not obvious.
Yeah, not obvious.
You tell me off the podcast
Gotcha.
or whatever this web series.
Uh-huh.
Are you okay? So I'm starting a group called Under the Sheets, and since you're our first guest, you are the first member.
I can't be a member under the sheets,
Why
but
not?
but I am
It exists with you.
I am an alum of the show, the Under the Sheets web series. How's that?
I don't know.
Because the Under the Sheet clan shit just feels like the KKK.
Well, it's not
I
a clan.
can't fuck with that.
It's a group.
Oh, okay, it's a group. Still
group.
feels like the KKK because sheets are involved.
But these are really nice looking sheets.
Yeah, well, I guess they're black and white. So yeah,
Exactly.
maybe. I'm fine with it.
Nick, I want to start. Well, before we end, I want to say, if you can summarize your childhood in one word, what would it be?
Necessary.
All right, I want to plug in your show because you have a show coming up,
Oh,
right?
I don't even get to explain necessary. Oh man, y'all suck.
All right, well you can explain necessary.
So the reason why I say my childhood was necessary is because it gave me everything that I needed as far as knowing what it is to understand people that are very complicated, understanding dualities, understanding that just because it's someone's circumstance doesn't mean that they're a better person for it, doesn't mean they're less of a person for it. My mom is an angel in that she has a way of caring about people that unfortunately she passed on to me, to where I'll listen to a lot more people's shit than I'll put out shit about myself, if that makes sense. So I'll take on other people's problems before I let anyone else take on mine. And that's a trait that I get from her. She's brilliant with stuff like that. My dad taught me honor and all that stuff very young, and what it means to be a man. Just being about your word. If you give your word, keep your word. Being respectful and expecting to be respected, and not taking slights if ever you feel you're being slighted. And for those reasons, my childhood was necessary. The friends that I made growing up taught me a whole lot. They taught me what it was to be loyal and to be about what you say you're about. Like, it's one thing to say that you love a place. It's another thing to die for a place that you love, or be willing to kill for a place that you love. And although some people might just chalk it up to, like, normal street violence, I think it's a lot more noble than that at the basic level. Now, mind you, some shit is just completely ridiculous, but I really did get to know some very interesting human beings who, if I didn't know, I would be much less of a person. That's why I say it's necessary. The good things, the bad things, and the things that are in that area of gray. And the funny thing is, for me, that gray area is where Neko White got to develop. Everything else was just like happening, but it was in that beautiful gray area that I got to become a person and understand what my boundaries were, where I feel other people's boundaries should be, and what I should accept versus what I should reject, just as far as my everyday is concerned. So for those reasons, I deem my childhood as necessary. It's also very missed. You know what I'm saying? I miss those simple times, but it is what it is. I get to look back fondly. So,
if you could hang out with one cartoon character from the Rocket Powers, who would it be? Is it Sam?
No, Tito probably, because he seems like he'd have the best drugs. And I wouldn't hang out with anybody. Yeah, the biggest pothead. Raymundo too, but Tito just seems
Raymundo's
cool.
too angry. He's always frustrated.
That's why Tito's around, because Tito has the best drugs.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hang out with anybody from Rocket Power, to be honest.
If you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would it be?
If I could hang out with any cartoon character, it would probably be... Damn, man, that's a hard one, dog. That's a really hard one.
I know.
That's
why I was giving you a specific show, but...
Yeah, no. See, if I could hang out with any cartoon character, it would probably have to be Magneto.
Yeah?
Yeah, it would have to be Magneto.
Why is that?
Magneto's the Malcolm X of the X-Men universe, dog, and I think Magneto was right. And his powers were always my favorite. And I would want to sit and tell him what he should actually be doing if he can control magnetism, because he's not... If you control magnetism, that shit makes you a force of nature.
Right.
You understand? Like on level with like the Phoenix and everything else. Magnetism can move the solar system around. So when you got that at your disposal, I don't think you got to negotiate with humans anymore,
Well,
dog.
what would you do if you had his powers?
If I had his powers, there'd be a lot less subterfuge about my people. I can assure you of that. There wouldn't be all this deceit, all these like cold words and nothing like that. Look, either give us our free or I'm going to put the sun next to this shit and murk everybody. Those are your options. And you have till 12:30.
I think that's exactly what it would take to get that going.
Yeah, yeah. But see, to prove it, I would move the sun just a little closer every 2 hours, just so they understood I wasn't playing. And then I would get Asteroid M, get all the mutants, like I said I would, and bring them up and tell the humans, again, we coming back to Earth. And if you don't let us come back to Earth, I'm going to set this whole shit on fire and go find another planet. That's just me.
Do you love being a comedian, Nico?
I love being a comedian very, very, very much. It's given me everything that I've had the last 12 years of my life. It's helped me solidify my identity to myself. And it's one of those things where if I didn't have it, I don't know what I'd be doing. It means everything to me, and it means nothing to others, and that's why it's important.
Well, we gotta wrap this up, but I want to talk about this show that you have coming up.
Yes. If you are listening, watching, however you are viewing this web series, I will be headlining the New York Comedy Club in Gramercy, 241 East 24th Street on October 25th. The show is at 11 p.m. If you would like to get tickets, please go to my website, nekowhite.com. That is NEKOWHITE.com. And you click on the picture right on the home page. Click that picture. It'll take you to the checkout. Enter my promo code. It's KANG, KANG. All right? That'll drop the tickets from $35 a ticket to $25 a ticket. So that's $10 off for every ticket you buy. Grab a friend, grab some tickets, and I hope I'll see you on October 25th. Tell me that you found me on the Under the Sheets web series, and I will personally give you a hug from me to you. God bless.
I will probably be there to watch. I'm not on the show.
Not yet. We'll see.
Neko White, thank you so much.
Dean David, thank you so much. I've had a great time here. Long live Under the Sheets, the web series. I'll be back in episode 10.
Why 10?
Because I said so.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.
Next time.